Hello everyone, welcome to English Like a Native with me, Anna English. Today we are talking about sexual orientation. How do you describe your own sexual orientation, otherwise known as sexual preference? Now, before we get into this very important lesson, if you find talking about the subject of sex in general very difficult because you can't find the right words which express your meaning but that don't offend anybody, then I have written a book especially for you. It will be linked in the description box below. It's priced very reasonably and it will give you all the terms and vocabulary that you need to talk about anything sexual. Let's get started. Sexual orientation, otherwise known as sexual preference, technically describes the enduring pattern of attraction. So which sex or gender are you attracted to? And that enduring pattern of attraction will determine your sexual orientation. Basically, which gender do you want to have sex with? Now, sexual orientation and sexual preference are two terms that are used interchangeably. More commonly, we use sexual preference. However, some people will argue that sexual preference is slightly different to sexual orientation because the word preference suggests an element of choice, where really sexual orientation is not a choice. You can't help who you like and who you are attracted to. So how do we describe our sexual orientation? Well, the language is changing so rapidly that it's very difficult to know exactly which terms are now acceptable and which terms are considered offensive. I'm going to give you the very obviously safe terms, but I would like to hear from you. Whatever your sexual orientation, I'd love to know which words you deem appropriate to describe your sexual orientation, and indeed any words that you find particularly offensive. Let us know. Put it in the comments box below and let's discuss this openly. So, if you are attracted to members of the opposite sex, the opposite gender, then you are described as heterosexual. Heterosexual. Commonly on the street, we just use the word straight. You're straight. If, however, you are attracted to members of the same gender, the same sex, then you are homosexual. Homosexual. On the street, however, we commonly use the word gay. Now, the word gay can be used to describe a woman who's attracted to women or a man who's attracted to men. But for women, gay women can also be known as lesbians. Lesbians. But a man cannot be known as a lesbian. A man is gay, a woman is a lesbian. Now, there are many other terms that I've heard used to describe someone who's homosexual. A lot of them, I would assume, are not appropriate terms though. But there are a few that are being reclaimed. I've recently heard the term queer being reclaimed by people who are homosexual and they're happy with that term. Let me know how you feel about that term. Otherwise, some people say you bat for the other team if you are homosexual. You bat for the other team. And I've sometimes heard the word bent. He's bent. But for me, that just feels a little bit offensive. So, like I said, tell me down in the comments below. Now, if you are attracted to both genders, you are sexually attracted to men and to women, then you are bisexual. Bisexual. Other ways I've heard this described is to swing both ways. You swing both ways. Sometimes bisexual is shortened to bi. So you could say, I'm bi, I'm not gay, I'm bi, I'm not straight, I'm bi. You may have heard the acronym LGBT, or the longer acronym, which I've recently learnt, which is LGBTQIA. This is basically an inclusive acronym which includes most sexual and gender identities. So if you hear the acronym LGBT or LGBTQIA, now you know what it's referring to. Finally, a word that I feel should be included, and that is the word homophobia or homophobic. If someone is homophobic, it means that they have a dislike or a prejudice against anyone who is homosexual. Of course, in the UK, homophobia is not acceptable, although we do still have incidents of homophobic behaviour, but it is not accepted here as we are a very inclusive and open culture here in the UK. So now I'd like to discuss this openly with you. As long as you're being respectful, then I'd love to invite you to comment in the comments box below and let me know your thoughts, your feelings on words that you think are acceptable or completely unacceptable. Do have a read of other people's comments as well, and let's get involved in the discussion. It's always better to be open. All right, until next time, take care and